Hi, the film I'd like to talk about today is Nocturnal Animals, starring Jake Gyllenhaal and Amy Adams, and directed by Tom Ford.
Don't do this. He's too weak for you. The things you love about him now are the things you'll hate.
I don't know much about Tom Ford, but I believe he's done one film other than this, which he directed about 7 years ago. Haven't seen the film. I know it stars Colin Firth, so I think I will watch it because this is a very interestingly made movie. This is a film that has three separate stories sort of running tangentially to each other. One of them's in the past, one of them is fictitious, dedicated to the past, and one of them's the present. The film opens up with the present, which is Amy Adams as a successful artist in a relationship that seems to be failing, and they have financial instability in spite of living in a huge house. I should also say that the film opens up on one of the strangest images I've seen in a long time. This was one of those moments where, at the opening of the film, my partner and I looked at each other and we knew we'd enjoy this movie because at 28, I have seen more films than most people my age, and I'm a little bit harder to surprise or catch off guard. There's a lot of things I've seen, I recognize cliches, I don't necessarily hate a film for being unoriginal, but it is refreshing to see something unexpected, to see something that catches me off guard. Amy Adams' character Susan is in the middle of a failing relationship, and she receives a manuscript from her ex-husband from something like 25 years ago, which she begins to read. And as she reads this manuscript, which is so violent and shocking, the manuscript itself plays out on screen, which you would have seen from the trailer. Now, what's great about this film, or what I like about this film, is that what's actually happening is something that could be completely plausible. A woman in her 50s regretting her past. She lives in a very vapid, pretentious world, and she's regretting certain decisions. And at the same time, on screen, this manuscript is playing, which is a quite bizarre, out there, and horrifying story. A story involving rape, revenge, murder, etc., etc., and none of that's actually happening. So, in a way, it's a plausible way of showing something crazy on screen and relating it back to the story. I won't say much else regarding the plot for now. But soon I do want to discuss some spoilers, so you will be warned. But what really speaks to me about this film is how art, so that script that was sent to her, can relate back to actual life. It's very possible to read a book, see a movie, read a graphic novel, and in my opinion even play a video game with a good story, and have it speak to you in some way, even if the story is way too out there for it to relate to anything in your life. Movies and TV series have to be punchy with their plots, you know. Things really have to come out in dramatic ways for them to move you very often, unless we're talking about certain European cinema. So something that might be very dramatic might relate back to something in your life indirectly, and it still might be very moving. And that's what I think Amy Adams' character felt while reading this manuscript. Even though it was dedicated to her, and it was directly dedicated to her, that's still something I've thought about. It's a movie about the effect that movies and scripts can have on you at times. Now, I'm not going to say much else about the film. For those of you still watching who haven't seen the movie, I am recommending it. I really enjoyed this movie. I really like cleverly written scripts. I really like things that bleed in together cleverly and stuff that you don't see coming. I mean, the music is so atmospheric. The visuals are so shocking sometimes. I'd recommend this movie to almost anyone. It's one of those movies that soaks you in visually. But now I want to discuss some spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie and if you're on the fence about it, I'm saying go see it. If you haven't seen the movie and you want to see it, then don't follow on from here. Come back to this video later on. So here's your spoiler warning. I'm going to start in 3, 2, 1. That manuscript that Susan's character received about the rape revenge story is directly about her relationship's past. I mean, we don't see, I believe his name was Edward, Jake Gyllenhaal's character, we don't see him in the present time. You only see him in past flashbacks, but I believe that manuscript is as much his point of view as Susan's flashbacks and her current story is hers. That manuscript directly talks about their past relationship, and here's how. He was seen as cowardly by Susan in the past, cowardly by her mother, as a guy that couldn't pull the trigger, as a guy that wasn't going to be successful, that couldn't give her what she needed, and that's why she left him, that's why she had an abortion with their kid. In the story, he's a coward as well, at least in his own eyes. I mean, he's a guy that probably hasn't been involved in a physical altercation since high school, maybe not very good with conflict. A lot of people aren't very good with conflict. And he's suddenly confronted in the middle of nowhere by a bunch of really scary people, and they take and rape his family and kill his wife and daughter. And this is a direct analogy for his own cowardice in real life. He feels that if he had shown more grit, more determination, he could have still kept his ex-wife. He could have still had a daughter. The daughter that died in the novel was a daughter that he could have had in real life, but never did because of his cowardice. And that's how that relates directly to how he feels. And then at the end of the novel, he dies. He falls on his own gun after having a brain hemorrhage, which I think is responsible because getting a blow to the head like he did at the end of that story would have a pretty dramatic effect on you. Don't take too many blows to the head, people. So his character dying at the end of that story is, in a sense, his cowardly persona in real life also dying. And that's why he stands her up at the end of the movie. That's why we never see him in the present time. Because the Edward, I believe his name's Edward, please, I'm sorry if I made that mistake of his character's name. His cowardly self died. She killed him by leaving him in such a horrible way, and him standing her up is just him saying, look, I'm not here anymore. I'm a different person. I'm a guy that can write this amazing manuscript, can be successful, and you passed up on that life with me. And that's the end, really. It's a film about a character having regrets, and it's a sort of story that could happen, delivered in a really unique and interesting and out there way. I should probably backtrack a little bit and say that it being a film about how you perceive art really affecting you as a person, that's what I took home from it. I mean, I should acknowledge that the manuscript she was reading was directly about her, and when I'm talking about art affecting you, or me, or anyone who happens to absorb it and relating back to their life, that's again a very personal thing and not something I can really put on anyone else. But that's what I thought while watching the movie. So that's it. I won't give the film a star rating. I won't, at this stage, I'm not going to give numerical ratings to my opinions. I believe I've put forward my opinion on the movie and I've said, yes, you should see it if you're into film. But yeah, that's it. That's what I have to say about Nocturnal Animals. Great movie, very interestingly put. It's like a story we've heard 1,000 times, told in a different way. So there it is, my review of Nocturnal Animals. So my partner Steph and I, we really enjoy watching movies, talking about them. She enjoys editing quite a lot. She's editing these videos for me. And we really want to keep doing this, so like and subscribe. Eventually we're going to be more comfortable with editing. Hopefully I can be more comfortable with talking. Hopefully we can do this on a non-rainy day so the lighting's better. Please like and subscribe, and hopefully we can make a lot more videos with better quality in the future. Thank you. Also, before I leave, I should also say, your opinions are valued. Please comment, talk about the movie, agree, disagree, but please do so in a respectful manner. Too many comment threads deteriorate into flame wars out of nothing, and that's not something I want to see on any of my videos, although now that I've said it, I'm sure it's exactly what I'll see if anyone even watches this. So until then, this is just another film critic. Goodbye.